begin to archive,
Mm,
collect your work, collect your writings, create creative things you've done. Make sure that things that are of digital importance that you get hard copies of them, pictures, memories, news clippings. Collect those things. Here's
wow.
why: because when you have regime change,
Mm,
one of the first things that new regimes try to do is erase your collective memory of what life was like before they came to power.
wow.
Think about how weird it is when we think of 2019 or 2020, how we used to just go and do certain things. It just seems ancient now. It was only 4 years ago, right?
Right,
To the
right.
degree that now we forget, right? Um, you're now seeing a new regime that's going to try to make us forget things, forget what joy was like, forget what laughter was like, so that in 2026, you won't remember the fact that you didn't used to have to prove citizenship to go to a concert.
Mm,
And in
right.
2025, you're going to forget the fact that, oh, yeah, 3 years ago, you didn't have America Corps soldiers walking down the street to make sure that protests didn't happen.
My God.
And once these things become normalized, there is a way in which we forget the world that we lived in, but we have to remember the world that we lived in order to fight for a better one. I tell
Mm,
people, think about when you were 15, 16 years old, the first time you saw, so you grew up, you went to high school, you've seen sepia colored documentaries about the civil rights movement. All you ever saw of the civil rights movement was old black and white photos and
yep.
dogs and fire hoses, whatever. Think about the first time when you were a teenager, when you saw a picture in your parents' or grandparents' picture book of just black kids laughing and playing in 1952.
Mm,
And you're like, oh, wait, it wasn't all police dogs. And it's no, there was joy.
right,
People
right.
lived their lives. We have to make sure we are archiving those things now because
Wow.
historically they're going to be important as the algorithms and the efforts of this new regime are going to try to make us forget the way our lives used to function. So that's the
Mm,
first thing I tell everybody to do. Get your pictures together. If you have a project, get that script. Make sure you have it printed out. Make sure that magazine clipping, that one website that told you that one thing that was interesting, screenshot it because your
wow.
memory is going to be attacked under this new regime. And you're going to
Mm,
want to remember what things were like so that when you're being gaslit about the way things are, it won't work as effectively.
wow. And to what end, Dr. Jason Johnson? Is there to what end are we gathering and holding these memories? Is it to sit under a tree one day with our grandchildren, like the Simpsons grandpa meme? And back when I was young in October, we had to wear jackets. Like, is it just? I'm trying to inject a little levity at the same
Oh
time, but
yeah,
we're holding on to these memories. And what else? I've noticed that there have been so many outlets online that are completely erasing their catalogs.
yes,
We had a guest on Raising the Self who said essentially we will know more about the 1980s than we do about the 2000s because the 1980s the information wasn't digitized
yes.
in real time, and so we have printouts, we have libraries to the extent we still have them with microfiche and things of that nature. In addition to preserving those memories and getting hard copies of all the things, what does the existence for people, no, what does the existence for black people look like? See, I almost did the people of color thing, and then I don't want to do that. What does the existence for us
Never
look
again.
like?
Not after last
Mm,
night.
not after last night. We were there. I don't ever want to hear not one P, not O, not no one C. But what does it mean for us to try to carve out an existence in this space? Because the masses of us can't leave. We
Mm-hmm.
a number of us in my group chats like, well, can we leave? Where can we go? And I'm like, well, wherever you go, how long you plan on be there? Because you're gonna have to get working papers. And if
Right.
you don't have working papers and you don't have a visa that's going to allow you to be, you can go and visit anywhere you want to, but you're going to have to work somewhere. What does it look like to carve out an existence in a world where essentially the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act are perfunctory to the extent they still exist and are wholly repealed outright? What does that look like for us?
So it's a couple things. The first thing is we're going to see and I'm going to explain why keeping this information archived is important. We're going to see sort of massive disruption. Elon Musk, who's basically going to be a vice president of the administration, basically said, we're going to tear this thing down to the studs and rebuild it, right? So
Right.
imagine America sort of functioning not dissimilar to what he did with Twitter, where he said he came in, he just
Jesus.
fired everybody, it went to crap, and then maybe over 18 months, he rehired 5% of the people that he fired, right? And
Mm.
the whole thing ceased to function in any effective way.
Right.
Project 2025, which we all talked about, said that they want to fire 50,000 government employees. That's going to happen, and it's going to
Right.
happen fairly quickly. And
Right.
so you fire 50,000 people, not only is there massive economic disruption, it's going to take years to replace and perhaps never be able to replace some of the intellectual and institutional knowledge that these people have.
My
So, what
God.
do you see in the fall of 2025? Well, you see even more inept responses to hurricanes because there will be no FEMA, right?
Mm.
By 2026, what do you see? Well, maybe we see a couple of weird instances of planes clipping wings in the air because the FAA has been absolutely gutted
Wow.
and long-term air traffic controllers were no longer employed because they didn't see they were valuable, right?
Wow.
These are the kinds of things that we will see over the next 18 months to 2 years. We will see that one of the first things that a new regime does, a new autocratic regime does, is they eliminate the means of removing them from power outside of the use of violence. So
Mm.
in Ohio, where they're like, hey, there's only one early voting place per county in Ohio,
Right.
right?
Yep.
You're going to see stuff like that across the country. They will eliminate voting. They will turn America into a one party state, right? America will
Mm.
start to
Mm.
probably
Mm.
resemble Texas. So that's what you will see happening over the next 3 to 5 years. Now, why is your collection important? It's for your own family, for your own work, and for to the degree that you're going to resist. You cannot resist things that you don't remember. Part
Right.
of why we talked about Black Lives Matter the way we did is because you had advanced and senior and experienced people from previous activist movements say, hey, kids, we had been telling you for decades that police violence was endemic in this country. You're all
Mm.
acting like this is new because it got caught on tape in 2012,
Right.
right? You need these archives because that's the way that you'll be able to tell yourself, wait a minute, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I do remember. See that picture from 2013? They did used to mow our lawns over here. We need to call the city
Mm.
government again and tell them to keep doing it. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at that photo. It's 2018. It was only 6 years ago. That's right. It did used to be normal that the bus would pick up all the kids in our neighborhood instead of going to that one place and making my daughter walk 20 minutes. I had forgotten about that because I was so concerned about so many other things. Archiving our lived existence allows us to fight to maintain it. If we do not, it's much easier for us to be told that whatever we're experiencing now is how it's always has been.